cumbersome
and expensive.
And expensive, that it's not followed. That's why I mean you need like the small claims model. I mean, even down to the point is, why are you reposting a post if you don't know it is true? You see, we can hide behind this weird perception of freedom of speech, which I think is very weird, because it contradicts defamation and slander. Yeah. I mean, and if you notice, that one particular country that is going on by leaps and bounds has a full control of their social media. And that goes even with countries like Dubai and whatever. They monitor it because they know the damage it can do.
The potential it has to create havoc.
Yeah, so to me that I feel was the failings of the last administration. But in terms of performance in infrastructure and whatever, passing of new legislation, he did very, very well.
So what do you think his apology was intended to achieve then?
Well,
or is he second-guessing his own achievements, which you believe he did?
Well, you see, the most of the social media, well, if you notice, they all went dead once they realized he's going, right? Just to show you that once it was established who is going to, whatever, everybody sort of like now switches over to the
incoming administration.
Administration. But you see, the point is this: we should stop trying to adopt these funny models from the West. I mean, we all learnt in secondary school or in social life, you don't walk up to somebody twice your size and insult him. You're going to get hit. I mean, there's not an issue of this is the law, this one has his rights. Yeah. I don't walk into a Catholic church and abuse the Virgin Mary and expect to get out alive. The same entering a mosque.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and then you claim what, freedom of speech?
No.
I mean, so a responsible government should realize the dangers of this medium.
Yes.
I mean, it has virtually wiped out the journalist who is trained to analyze information. Even the most valuable of all the journalists, an investigative journalist, they've been technically wiped out for relevance.
Yes, indeed.
You know?
All right,
so
okay, all right.
As far as I'm concerned, Buhari hasn't hurt anyone.
Okay, all right. I know a lot of people will beg to disagree with you, but hey, that's why we're here, is to render opinion, and opinion is free. Facts are sacred. All right, so let's look at the next issue. Tinubu returns home amid a whole bunch of burdens on his shoulders, from tribunal cases, social cohesion, healing wounds, issues of petrol subsidy he has to address as soon as he takes office. There's so much on his plate. Is it not a over-heavy caseload for an incoming administration with everything that's waiting for it? Matter of fact, I would expect that anybody would run away right now. If President Buhari is running away, say, I'm glad to be dumping this in somebody else's lap. Why would anyone want to take this job at a time like this when there's so much to be attended to?
Well, if you know the person involved, he has always faced challenges. I mean, people forget what he went through when he was trying to defend democracy. I mean, even down to putting roadblocks on Third Mainland Bridge. You know, he has been ready to take on
powers and principalities.
Yes, for what is right. No matter what you think about him, let's think about it. At the time when he was a senator, and you had the what's it called, June 12th.
Yes.
There was no real profit to be made out of his fighting, his supporting Nadeko and all that. There was no profit to be made out of it, unless he was looking down in the future. But that really is the type of person he is. He's dogged. And I used to make a statement among my friends. He's the best fighter I've seen outside the military. Yeah, and he possesses. Normally, in third world countries, you possess usually a physical attribute that allows you to suppress or fool your enemies. Tinubu, he looks small and feeble.
Yes, he does.
He
Physically
small and feeble. In fact, you would think he's ready to croak in the next few months. But I mean, he's been like that since 2000. But his thinking is very strange. If you see what he's done in Lagos State, I mean, he has entrenched the institutions, and he's known for putting competent people in charge.
So you have no qualms about the fact that he can deal with all the issues?
Well, I pity what he is. But again, I believe that the issues will just continue if you don't put social media under control.
Do you think he has the temerity to try to do that?
Well, if he doesn't, he's going to ride his journey is
a whirlwind.
A whirlwind. The journey is going to get very, very, very difficult. The problem I find is that, and of course, he's a realist. I mean, he realized that the democracy in its present state is all about money. Mm-hmm. So, as we can see, he had assembled a war chest of sorts. Okay. To enable him, because we have to be realistic, it's all about money. When Clinton was fighting Obama to become the representative of the Democratic Party, they judged who would win by who had the largest war chest, you know. Okay. And that's reality. I mean, I personally believe if Nigeria wants to progress, we first have to get rid of democracy of craze. It has never worked. It always leads. I mean, the longest democracy we've ever had in history of mankind is the first part of the Roman Empire. And even after that, they had to change back to their emperor system. Okay. And as Fela rightly pointed out, which we don't want to acknowledge, it's a demonstration of craze. And I ask you, show me one democracy, large democracy, that does not show an element of absolute craze.
All right.
That's the way I look at it.
Okay, so Bayo is giving the incoming administration a thumbs up in the belief that the president-elect is the right person and has the right attributes to deal with the issues awaiting him in office. Well, we wait and see. We wish him all the best, and we look forward to a season of prosperity and peace upcoming in Nigeria when the new administration is sworn in. All right, let's dig into the next story as we're fast running out of time. Bayo, what happened in Adamawa? The wreck is on the lam. he has vanished into thin air after this unlawful act that he perpetrated. Was that an issue of corruption, an issue of coercion, or is there a more sinister plot at play in Adamawa, in INEC, in the various political interests?
Well, obviously, in this environment of corruption, why such a thing could happen is because we have ignored remedies. So now people feel they can loot the coffers, they can make statements like this. And what is the remedy? Do they actually go to jail? Are they actually going to be punished? I mean, a false statement like this, if we had a culture of people answering to the crimes they do, I don't think he would have had the guts to do something like this. Because as a result of that, there are probably a number of lives that were lost in the whole fracas of doing a fake announcement. Yes. But the question one should ask is, what induced him to do that?
Yes, that's what I said. Could it have been that? We
can only speculate.
2 billion.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That is social media again.
Speculation.
I mean, why can't an investigative journalist, investigate? I mean, the guy must put the money somewhere. If he was bribed, he must have put the largesse somewhere. Yes. And particularly with this withdrawal of currency, how exactly was he paid this 2 billion? So we have to bring remedies for it. I mean, many years ago, I suggested a remedy to corruption.
Which was?
Well, it's very simple. You have to give the incentive for prosecution. Mm-hmm. So what I suggested, you can probably Google it, was that in law, you should allow what's called private prosecution for criminal matters, which is it is available already.
Okay.
The attorney generals at all levels can allow a private individual to institute a criminal proceeding. Then you pass a law that allows 10% of the spoils
to go to
be shared in a ratio of 7% to the legal prosecuting team and 3% to the whistleblower.
Doesn't that give an incentive for people to now start making up stuff against others?
Yeah, but of course there'll be penalties for that. Defamation, slander, wrong. You put that in the law, but you need an incentive for people to prosecute.
Okay.
You see, and the beauty of it is that it's self-correcting.
Yes.
Like, for instance, once a whistleblower knows that it's 3% he will get,
yes.
From day one, the secretaries of all governors will be recording all the wrong things that they are doing. We'll just keep it, whether it takes 10 years or whatever. I mean, if you remove limitations on stealing and whatever, then the lawyers, just like you have accountants who make it their business to go to a company and say, I'll examine your bank statement, I will make 10% of all the errors I recover there. Likewise, you find law firms going after everybody that is showing wealth that they cannot account for.
I've always said follow the money.
Yeah, follow the money. Yeah. So without that incentive, I don't see, and you see, you can't bribe in that situation, because I give an example. If you declare 2 billion has been wrongly appropriated, and you manage to bribe the judge, and the judge gives one judgment, so what? The 2 million has to be accounted for. Mm-hmm. So it means somebody can now issue it another case to say that's the way that judge looked at it, but we haven't accounted for that to be. So we have to prepare what they call methods that are self-driven. You know, appeal to greed and the normal natural instincts of people. So you'll have thief chasing thief. Yeah. You know, under using the law, and corruption will go down. Then, of course, we have to, I think, at this stage, introduce what has made China
capital punishment for stealing.
For public corruption, public officers corruption.
All right, Bayo, thank you. Well, let's talk. We're running fast out of time. I would love to continue with this, but we have just one more story and like 2 minutes to cover it. The situation in Sudan. I mentioned it at the beginning of the show. Word is that this is a proxy fight between the U.S. and Russia, just like in Ukraine. But we are yesterday mentioned in the news that there are two generals fighting for control after they deposed the democratically elected president. Bottom line is it's affecting Nigerians and many other indigents who are studying and living in Sudan. So our government now is trying to evacuate our students. What's the real story in Sudan?
Well, generally,
in 2 minutes, so they're already talking to me.
I just say all conflicts generally are over resources. Okay. Right? And whether they're encouraged by foreign powers, you must remember that war is the most profitable business known to man. Right.
So people will expend human lives and property.
Yeah, because so it is. For instance, an arms dealer will like to encourage war because he can sell a gun that maybe was $100. He can sell it for $500 like that. Refugees, they can embezzle all the money is allocated. War is just so profitable. I mean, it beats the drug business.
So there are people who are so callous that for the profit motive, they will allow hundreds and millions. Well, you see,
it depends on how you're brought up. I mean, everyone's going to die someday or the other. So the way these people, I would say, look at it is profit, profit, profit. I mean, the guys that are dying, they're going to die anyway. Maybe it's not now.
That sounds rather cool, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's cool, but that's how the world is. You know, so when you say Russia-Ukraine proxy war, usually the U.S., whose main export is weapons anyway. Yes. Consequently, they need to create a market, I suppose.
Yeah, but the word on the street is that Russia wants to build a military base in Sudan to have control of the Red Sea and this and that. And U.S. doesn't want that. So U.S. is backing one of the generals. Russia is backing the other general. And so basically it's U.S. and Russia fighting each other through these generals.
Yeah, but yes, you could say that is a contributing factor. But by and large, the main factor is war is profitable. Everybody wants, those who benefit from wars want wars, right? Whatever the excuses are still secondary. That's the primary. Okay, now you can come on to they want to build a military base. Yes, okay. It is very sad, but that's what goes on when you can't understand what kind of fake news you are given,
Yeah.
what kind of impressions are created.
And unfortunately, well, Sudan is the latest victim in this, and unfortunately, it's having collateral damage on so many other people's lives and all that. So we hope this war machine that is profit motivated will find other avenues to make their money and not begin to sacrifice human lives. All right, that's the much we can take today on What's Your Take. It's been a very interesting time with Bayo Banjo, engineer, legal mind, and social critic. I wish we got to have you back again sometime, Bayo, because there's just not enough time to talk about all these issues, because you have very interesting perspectives on social issues. So, boy, what I'm going to try and do is talk to our producer about giving us a 1 hour episode, 1 hour schedule at a time when I can have you back, when we can explicate a lot more issues. Thank you so much for coming. We really enjoyed you today, and I'm sure our audience also loved listening to you.
Okay, thank you. You're welcome.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you all for watching. My name is Dayo Akintobi. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you next time. Have a great day and a super week ahead.
Glad to have you join me on the program. I am Mary Kanu. Now, in what many might describe as a drama-filled supplementary election in Adamawa State, Governor Amadou Fintiri has been announced winner of the April 15 supplementary governorship elections exactly 1 month after the March 18 polls. Recall that Adamawa State Resident Electoral Commissioner Hudu Yunusa Ari had illegally declared Aishatu Dahiru winner after the governorship supplementary election held on Sunday. However, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) swiftly denounced the purported declaration and suspended the collation of results of the supplementary election. In the rerun, Fintiri, the incumbent governor and candidate of the People's Democratic Party, polled 9,337 votes, besting Senator Aishatu of the All Progressives Congress, who scored 6,513 votes. At the end of the entire exercise, the returning officer, Mele Lamido, declared Fintiri winner with 430,861 votes over Binani's 396,788 votes. Binani, the candidate of the APC, sought to become the first woman to be elected state governor in Nigeria. Now, to speak more on the recent development in Adamawa State, political affairs analyst Charles Ideho joins me now. Thank you very much for joining me. Now, all through the elections, Nigerians watched as various levels of political drama unfolded in Adamawa State. But generally, what are your thoughts on the governorship elections in the state?
Okay, well, let me say that I personally say we can heal the self-belief, because when you look at the 36-state structure of Nigeria plus Abuja, we had one state that was almost holding us to ransom. Other elections have been concluded on the 18th of March 2023, and they moved on. Winners have emerged, and they are already setting up committees on how to hand over from one governor to another. In the case of states that are having a change of baton, but you now have Adamawa that was almost holding us to ransom. So now that the elections have been declared conclusive, and then the winners are in line with the mandate of people have been announced, so we can now move on with other things Now that a winner has emerged, a winner that is truly reflective of the people's mandate in Adamawa State, Mary.
All right now, but then again, how would you assess INEC's handling of the whole situation in the state? Because we saw, that the March 18 election was inconclusive, which then led to the supplementary elections. And, we also saw the premature announcement of Binani as winner. So how would you rate INEC's performance in the state?
Well, first, I will look at INEC sectorally. This is why it is very important for us to consider the process of recruitment. I mean, if you recruit very wrong people into places of that you are going to be requiring them to work above board, then this is what you get. So you remember that time that President Muhammadu Buhari, he now brought out a list of appointees, people who are going to be state reps and all that. Amongst them was Loretta Onoche, who we know is very fiercely supporting of this government. She once held the position as one of the spokespersons for the president. So imagine someone like that, being in government, being among the umpire. It's the same thing you have with Yunusari. Yunusari, we understand, is very close to the Attorney General of Federation, of course, who you also know is very partisan. So it is whatever we have in Adamawa is a reflection of the poor, what I call the poor, how you get the recruitment into that position of state rep. So when you put in somebody who is fiercely partisan for one party, you expect him to be above, but it's not possible. So what I feel is that INEC, for us to have an INEC that is going to be above board, where you have to cleanse the unjust table, when we need to go back and recalibrate the structure called INEC, so that we're able to have people who do not have maybe party affiliations, who do not have party leanings to all these parties, whether it's APC, whether it's PDP, whether it's Labour Party. It is only then we can have people who can discharge their duty very effectively without any fear. We can discharge their duty without any pecuniary gains and all that. But the way it is now, there are people within INEC, outside Professor Mahmoud, who are very, very partisan. And one of them we have seen in Barrister Hudu Yunusa, who, of course, he betrayed everything that he had for the party APC. He betrayed everything, and even went further by even disgracing even himself as a lawyer. Lawyers are supposed to be above board. When a lawyer begins to now do things that are improper, then you now see where we are headed as a people in this country. Maybe.
I know we're talking about Yunusa Ari, that's the suspended resident electoral commissioner of Adamawa State, but you also said he announcing the illegal, the illegal announcement was not, he was not constitutionally empowered to do so, but he did it all the same. So do you think there was a preset agenda to the action?
Well, Mary, I think that obviously there was somebody who may have been beating the drum. You understand? Because I do not think that this Yunusa Ari could have acted alone. Number one, he was accompanied to that center by the state commissioner for police, someone as highly placed as a commissioner of police in the state. He was as accompanied them, and then you look at what happened. NTA, that is a government-owned agency, also, gave them that platform. And then one of the spokespersons of the president-elect, the minister of state for labor, what's his name? Teamo also rose to town to also congratulate that's a Binani. So it tells you that there are people who were beating the drum for Yunusa Ari. I suppose he wasn't acting alone, because he was acting alone. You now see his rolling. You understand what I'm saying? But as we speak, I still do believe that Ari acted a script that was badly scripted. That's exactly why he came out the way he came out there, Mary.
Well, Binani was looking to emerge as the first female governor, in the country, and many were hopeful that history will be made. But could her gender have worked against her in the race? to become governor?
Well, first, if she has emerged as the first female governor in Nigeria, that is duly elected. Don't forget that in Anambra, when Peter Obi was impeached, he definitely that time, I think it's Dame Etiabad, I've forgotten her first name, I think that Etiabad actually took the mantle in Obi's step until court restated Obi, and then in the history of Nigeria, Etiabad is never to be remembered as someone who ever held that position. Of course, that's in the history. But you see, if you must emerge and to hold that history, to say you are the very first female duly elected governor in Nigeria, it has to be something that will follow due process. Not victory that is snatched through the back door. Not victory that is procured, using all means power. That's exactly what I say. But again, even I have the advantage. We also have a female president in this country. But if that female president or female governor must emerge, they have to pass through ways that are proper, means that are proper, so that we can hold our head high among the community of nations.
Now, it would appear that supplementary elections are gradually becoming the norm during every election cycle in Nigeria. So what do you think needs to be done for us to get it right the first time and maybe avoid all the hassles and even expenses that come with supplementary elections?
Well, there are factors responsible. Number one factor is the way that candidates emerge amongst, when you look at the parties that are the parties that are flying their flags, a candidate want to fly a flag. Look at their primaries, the primaries usually flawed. Look at what happened in Kogi recently, where they said the governor just did everything possible within his power to make sure that whether it's his father or his nephew emerged as the party flag bearer for APC. Of course, Senator Smart at the end, has been crying foul that that process was marked with all manner of irregularities and then that primaries never held. So it goes across all the states in the country. When you have a process that is fraught with irregularities, this is what you have, so that it's not always properly concluded. But if you also look at the issue of winner takes all that we have. Everybody, if you are going for election, you want to win. You want to kill people who are going to be vying for you. Against you. So that's exactly what we need to do. That for us to have an election to be truly representative of the people's mandate or the will of the people, we need to ensure that people who emerge as flag bearers are those ones who the party see fit to indeed, have that power to command the people's respect. But when you pass people through the back doors and then you find this kind of, there's no way to not go into some of this inconclusiveness, and then you now have a supplementary election. Not only that, you also have the cost. These days, you find that over the years, we have lost, the electorate, we have lost all the powers to elect our leaders. When we elect our leaders, people will say, oh, no, don't worry. Whatever happens, you go to court. So the court has now taken over. They have usurped the power of the electorate to now choose who govern Nigeria. Of course, that's not something that we must applaud. So we must find a way to get this thing out of our body politics.
All right, now, political affairs analyst Charles Idaho, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
We'll take a break now, but when we return, the program will continue. To stay with us. All right, welcome back. Nigerians began a new week with members of aviation unions embarking on a two-day warning strike, leaving passengers stranded in airports. The unions comprise the National Union of Air Transport Employees, Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, the National Association of Aircraft Pilots and Engineers, and the Association of Nigerian Aviation Professionals. The union workers had earlier, in a notice to their members across airports in the country and aviation agencies, issued a 2-day warning strike to press home their demands over non-implementation of condition of service and other welfare-related issues in the next 7 days. The unionists, after the end of their 2-day warning strike, have vowed to shut down the airspace to jolt the attention of the current administration. Well, for more insight into the industrial action and demands of the aviation union workers, the General Secretary of the Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Francis Akinjole, joins me now. It's good to have you join me. Now, the Aviation Ministry has said, that the strike was unnecessary and that discussions could only be done in an atmosphere of peace and mutual respect. Why then did the union decide to embark on the 2-day warning strike?
Well, as we have been informing the general public, we have been on this for years now. We are also alive to the fact that strike is something that is not necessary in the aviation sector if it can be avoided. So we've always presented ourselves for discussion with management and even the ministry. But what have we gotten from those discussions? Nothing. They continue playing us. So it's not that we are not open for discussion. Like I did inform yesterday, we were even involved in a discussion with them, the ministry, via Zoom on Sunday, because we couldn't make it to the Abuja that they invited us to. So we had meeting with them, and at the meeting, it was obvious that the ministry itself is overwhelmed because it appears the whole issue is not even in their hands, but they are the midwife. They are the midwife. This is principally in the hands of the National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission and the Office of the Head of Service. But we have nothing to do with them directly. It is through the ministry.
Well, Nigeria is still dealing with, the issues of airlines trapped funds, increase in price of jet fuel and airfares, and now, the strike. All of these affect Nigerians and the economy, seeing that the aviation sector also adds billions of naira to the country's GDP. Were all of these put into consideration by the unions before embarking on the strike?
Yes, like I did say moments ago, we know that strike should never be the first option. It's always the last option. It is when we are pushed to the wall. Consider the plight of those employees that are working in the aviation industry. Are they happy? Disgruntled aviator is an accident in the making. In the waiting rather. Imagine a cleaner, if he's not satisfied, do you know that he can induce an accident? These are some of the things we should be conversant with. These people have been working for years without valid conditions of service, and they have been managing. And when we appeal to the authority to do the needful, they will continue telling you to be patient. And we have been patient, but everybody has, nobody's elasticity of patience is limitless. That is the situation we find ourselves now.
All right. One of the demands of the unions is that the federal government should not demolish the offices of some of the aviation agencies in Lagos. It has since asked to relocate to Abuja. Now, can you please shed more light on why the union is against this demolition?
Okay, you just said now that the headquarters have relocated to Abuja. Does that signify that there is no activity of that headquarters being experienced in Lagos? Even if the headquarters are in Abuja, won't there be regional offices? Where are they going to operate from? I did say days back that headquarters of AIB in Lagos was demolished 1 year ago. We still have members that are in Lagos. They are just They ask them to come home. Their activities are in the airport, and they have no office in the airport. So this, it doesn't make any reasonable sense to us. We are not saying they shouldn't demolish, but there should be adequate preparation for this. Even those that are taken to Abuja, are there offices in Abuja for them? The answer is no. No corporate headquarters. Look at Nama. They rented apartments from Nigerian Chambers of Commerce along the airport road there in Abuja. There's no preparation for all this. And come to think of it, how many days does this administration have left? Even if they are going to re-employ the minister, can't they exercise some patience?
Right. Now that the 2-day warning strike has ended, what is the next step going forward?
Yes, we did inform yesterday that there was to be a meeting of the salaries and wages with the agencies and management. They went for the meeting. We haven't gotten full details of the outcome of the meeting, but I was informed that the meeting was inconclusive. It has been adjourned to the 10th of next month. We are going to go back to our structures. We will review it. If there is any prospect of having our demands redressed, or not before then, we will take a position. And remember, that is just one leg of the demands we presented. They are supposed to be addressing other demands as well, other issues that will be put before them. If they are able to resolve it, which we are praying for, we also want to take a rest. We don't want to be engaged in what we shouldn't be for now, because strike is not a palatable endeavor for any serious organization. We are praying that we are not pushed back to where we were past 2 days.
All right, now, General Secretary of the Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Francis Akinjole, thank you very much for your time and your contribution. Well, on that note, we call it a wrap on the program this week. Many thanks for watching. I am Mary Kanu. Bye for now.
When we think about peacekeeping, it often seems like peacekeeping missions are failing. But if we looked systematically across the record, most of the time, peacekeeping works. What I want to do today is to explain how peacekeepers do this. We have 16 peer-reviewed studies right now that all show the same thing. Peacekeepers save lives. They reduce the likelihood that civil wars will recur. They also help to achieve peace agreements. Where there's a promise of peacekeepers, we are more likely to see a peace agreement, and peace agreements that stick. If we look at the completed missions since the end of the Cold War, 2/3 of the time, peacekeepers have been successful at implementing their mandates and departing. That's not to say that in all of those cases, everything is perfect in the countries, but it is to say that they're no longer at war. This idea of using troops from lots of different countries, not to fight and win wars, but to help to keep the peace, was born during the peace negotiations in the Middle East in 1948. This idea was an innovation in human history. One of the main creators of UN peacekeeping is Dr. Ralph Bunche. Ralph Bunche was an American diplomat. For his work at the United Nations, he won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1950. He and others came up with this idea of peacekeeping, that what troops would do is they would deploy impartially, so they would not take sides. They would deploy with the consent of the belligerents, so the belligerents would actually ask peacekeepers to help them implement peace agreements. Namibia is a country that has experienced tremendous hardship. It's had multiple colonial rulers. It's had a genocide. It's been victim of regional war, of civil war. But surprisingly, Namibia has not fallen victim to this tremendously difficult history. At the end of the Cold War, there was a complex and highly innovative UN peacekeeping mission, 40% women, and the main form of power they exercised was persuasion. Peacekeepers were there to help reform the political system. Nobody had ever voted in an election before. Peacekeepers were helping to inform citizens of their rights, of what it means to elect their own leaders.
We are very proud. This is an important moment for us, but a historic moment for the Namibian people. That for the first time in 105 years, they are able to sit down, their leaders are able to sit down together and deliberate on the future of their country.
In the complex missions in civil wars, peacekeepers are not only monitoring ceasefire lines, they are also helping to rebuild the basic institutions of the state. They're helping to demobilize troops. They help reform judicial systems, economic systems, so that when people have disputes, they don't have to resort to violence to resolve them. We know that there is a problem of sexual exploitation and abuse in peacekeeping. The UN has been taking measures to prevent peacekeepers from committing acts of sexual violence. Some people have been fired. Entire battalions have been sent home. We now have mechanisms to make sure that victims feel safe to report peacekeeper sexual abuse and exploitation. If we look at Lebanon as another example, the primary form of power that peacekeepers exercise and continue to exercise today is inducement. On one side of the border, we have the Israeli Defense Forces. On the other side of the blue line, we have Hezbollah and other armed actors. And in the midst of all this, we have thousands of UN peacekeepers.
I love my job. I have passion for mine action. One reason is to give confidence back to the community, the landowners, the stakeholders that yes, indeed, this area has been cleared. And if I can save one life, that means I succeeded.
UN peacekeepers help to keep the peace, not because anyone fears them, but they do see the advantage of having UN peacekeepers inducing people to move toward peace. I've seen myself peacekeepers in action. For example, in southern Lebanon, we often see peacekeepers patrolling on foot. They walk around the local communities. They visit the markets. They talk to people. They'll talk to the imam. They'll talk to other local leaders. They'll set up a medical clinic. or provide dentistry services. They also provide a lot of employment in southern Lebanon. If we look systematically across the cases, peacekeepers are helping people in their everyday lives move from a situation where there's war and violent conflict to a situation where there's more peace.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
Hello, thanks for joining us on another edition of your Saraway Sports Business Show, Sport Exchange. My name is Judy Olaniro, and today's show promises to be another exciting one. And we have our focus today. There is a twist to today's show. We will be looking, our focus at some point will be on the Premier League. Actually, we are at the business end of the Premier League now. Who is going to be those who will make the top 4? You know what that means for them? More money, and also a spot in the lucrative Champions League. So we'll be breaking this down, and we have someone who will be helping us make sense out of all this. And you know how we do it. We serve you all the juicy details as far as sports business is concerned. And of course, we've got something from the FIFA president who was on a courtesy call on Seychelles. Yeah, we'll have you that inset on today's show. If you're ready, I'm ready. And let's go. That will be after this time out.
Fantastically finished.
Welcome back straight to the sports business news. The Premier League is likely to make an additional 60 games available for broadcast in an attempt to drive up the price in its next domestic rights auction. In the meantime, Sky Sports, BT Sports, and Amazon Prime Video currently has a rights deal with the English Premier League worth £4.8 billion and run from 2022 to 2023 to 2024-2025 season. The new deal is expected to kick off in October, and a meteor package of matches is set to be made available to broadcasters with an additional rise in games from 200 to at least 260 of the total 380 fixtures each season. All right, Mitch Heath, yeah, that's it. Mitch Heath, Teamwork co-founder, says the U.S. cloud software company will accelerate its global expansion plans after raising $65 million in a Series E funding round and acquiring technology platforms Arm Software. Teamwork has raised $115 million over the past 12 months, with its overall funding total to $165 million in order to expand the company's platform, offering more than 6,000 sports, military, and public safety organizations around the world. Meanwhile, Teamwork's clients include the National Basketball Association NBA, franchise Chicago Bulls, English soccer club Chelsea, and New Zealand national rugby union team. And to football, the Etihad is currently the 5th largest Premier League stadium in terms of capacity. It houses 55,097 fans in its present form, but City intends to increase the capacity to more than 60,000. City's proposal is about much more than adding extra seats, though. Danny Wilson, Manchester City Director of Sales, Service and Operations, says in a club statement that it is estimated by the club that the overall project, if approved by Manchester City Council, will cost in excess of £300 million. The club also wants to install a sky bar overlooking the pitch, a stadium roof walk experience, a 3,000 capacity fan zone, and a 400 beds hotel, a new club shop, and a museum. And finally, the National Football League, NFL, has hired Horizon Media as its global media agency, covering strategy, planning, activation, and measurement. Dave Borger, Vice President of Consumer Media for the NFL, says in a televised interview that the NFL previously had multiple agencies handle media strategy and the management of its digital inventory, with Horizon to now take on all those duties. It is confirmed that NFL spent the majority of its $30 million on paid media budgets on digital properties. All right, okay. Before we go to the next one, let's let you know that FIFA President Gianni Infantino paid a courtesy visit to Seychelles over the weekend. And this is what the president of the World Football Governing Body has to say about its experience there.
I'm very happy because we did everything we had to do here. We met the president, we agreed on how to invest in football, on infrastructure projects whereby the government gives the land, we will build the stadiums. But more importantly as well, what can we do for our youth here in Seychelles? We started Football for Schools project. We invest in talent development scheme, and of course we'll host the FIFA Beach Soccer World Cup in 2025. So it's about big countries, but it's also about small countries. Seychelles has around 100,000 inhabitants, and FIFA is there for everyone, for the biggest countries, for the smallest countries, and football is the same. Everywhere is lived and loved with the same passion. We're not just organizing the World Cup for the big ones, men and women, but we also organize football all over the world, and this is thanks to people like Elvis Chetty, the president of the Football Federation of Seychelles, his team, his staff, his executive, and all those all over the world who do exactly the same. So I'm very happy, and I'm looking forward to many more visits in many more countries all over the world, big and small.
All right, welcome back to the show. It's Sport Exchange. Like I told you earlier, it's going to be a different version of the show today because we've got a twist to it. Today, in focus, let's say on our dugout segment, in focus, I've got a co-anchor on the show today, and we will be focusing on the Premier League. The Premier League gradually winding down, and we are now at the business end of the Premier League. It is the most lucrative league in the world. Money spinning Premier League. I can't just wait to see who goes home with a title, as well as which of the clubs rather will go home with a title with the cash. Sidney Okafor joins me on the show today. He's making his debut and he's going to be a regular. Sidney, thanks for joining me on the show. How are you?
Judy, thanks for having me. I'm so pleased. And even hearing what you just said about Manchester City now, planning to extend their capacity, their stadium capacity to about 60,000 capacity. Wow, 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 wow. That was huge. That was huge. You know, Manchester United has about 75,000 capacity. And I think City now is now moving with the speed of light to
want to catch up. They are next door neighbor. They want to.
Well, let's hope so. Let's see how it goes. If the council approves that,
but there's something that, you know, yeah, talking about the extension and the money, 300 million pounds.
That's huge.
And that's huge. Just to extend, not to break down and start and rebuild. And there's this story around the National Stadium by people saying maybe 21 when the Minister of Sports said something like 21 million naira will be used to refurbish. What do you think? Some feel it's not the big deal, while some feel it is so much.
Well, you know, it's of different aspects. It's of different aspects. We can use the Premier League to compare our own local league here. The kind of money they made from their own league is something else. Because they make money in different aspects. They make money through their TV rights domestically and internationally. They have bonuses. They have prize money from the league. And so they have so many ways they can make money. So you can use that to really relate to our own league. But without wasting much of your time here, Jide, a new development has been really hitting up in the top 4.
Okay. That's the Premier League.
That's the Premier League, yeah.
Let's look who is going to, who are those trying to pick the title?
Well, for now, is an Arsenal title to lose.
Okay.
And it's City's title to chase. But let's hope it will not be it will not fall in the hands of City and it's fall in the hands of Arsenal, because even myself, Arsenal has tried Arteta. She has really done a great thing. Previously, Arsenal played with their previous match was with West Ham, where they lost, where they played a 2-2 draw.
Yeah, exactly.
You're leading 2-0 and all of a sudden you slept off and the game came back to 2-2. It's a big blow. A big blow to
maybe I should also ask you this question. The game between there is a game between Manchester and Manchester City and Arsenal that's still going. Do you think that game will be a title decider? If what do you think? What's your take on it?
Well, my take on that, I would think let's just assume that it's going to be the title decider. I agree to some extent.
Okay.
Because the first leg that they played, you saw what Arsenal played fantastically. But City showed that I'm the champion. Played them, outsmart Arsenal, did everything, and they won. But this game coming, wow. I think Arteta needs to go back to drawing board and look at what he missed in the first match, and come and do that in this upcoming match. Well, let's hope for the best for them. Let's hope for the best for them. It's their title to lose, like we said the other time.
Maybe we should look at the business side of some of those who are making it happen as far as the top 4 is concerned now. Let's talk about the key players in the top 4.
The key players in the top 4 right now, if you look at it now, Bukayo Saka is one of the key players in Arsenal. And Arteta can't do without that guy right now. Then when you come to Manchester City, is Erling Haaland. Haaland is another fantastic. Sometimes people say, where did that guy get that skills from? We know his father was a footballer, but got injured when during Manchester United, and I've forgotten. I can't really recall the team his father played for, but he got injured. So right now, his son has come back. He has even gone beyond what his father is doing in football. But Erling Haaland has played just how many matches so far? Well, his goal rate is something beyond. He has played just 27 matches so far for Manchester City, sorry. And he has been able to score about 32 goals.
Wow.
32 goals. Oh my God.
That is at least it's just an equivalent of at least there is a goal every game. That's what it means.
Exactly. You have played lesser game and you have scored more goals.
That's it. That's
it deserves a round of applause.
Oh, yeah, I think
that's it. So now on Man U, the player that they can't do without right now is Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes is phenomenal. We know Rashford is currently in form, and Rashford is doing great, but without that Bruno. Oh my God. It's going to be
there's something about Bruno. Bruno came all the way from Portugal.
Yeah, Sporting Lisbon.
Lisbon. Haaland also came from
Borussia
Dortmund. They came with big money. Even Saka came from an academy. So of course you say that is for Saka. So Saka is a homegrown talent.
Homegrown player.
Yeah, a homegrown player. Also for
Newcastle,
Rashford too.
Okay, Rashford homegrown.
Exactly.
But they're doing great.
For Bruno and Haaland, those are exports, big money player. That means that for in the case of Rashford and Saka, that's just you're just getting more for little. That's why for Haaland and Bruno Fernandes.
Let's just oppose that angle.
Okay.
In time of Haaland and in time of Bruno, those two are parts. In time of Saka and in time of Rashford, the coach there, Pep Guardiola, is a masterclass in time of his tactics, his tiki-taka. He likes players that are already made. But if you look at the philosophy of Manchester United, they believe in homegrown. The same ideology goes to Arsenal. So, but the challenge, these two teams, Arsenal and Man U have been having, they have not seen someone like Arsene Wenger, someone like Alex Ferguson, that can instill that mentality in their homegrown players. That is why you still see them seeking players outside to just chuckle up. But thanks to Ten Hag that is now in Man U, you can see there's a kind of change. But Pep Guardiola is a man that every game is a must-win for me. And he will only give you a chance, a player from an academy, if he can see that, yes, you're doing well. You can see the one of Lewis that is taking the position of Walker now. Are you seeing? He has given that guy a chance because he has seen that this guy is good. He can be. He's a promising kid. So he has given him a chance. So that's just the difference. Manchester City, Arsenal, they have an ideology of let's build our home from the scratch.
All right. Don't let us be biased. Also, let's look at Newcastle.
Oh my God!
Any of their key players, the top four, they're ready. You know, look at the way nobody would. If someone had told me that at the beginning of the season that we'll be talking about Newcastle top four in the same sentence, I wouldn't believe.
Even at the dying time of the league now. Well, if you look at Newcastle currently now, I think it's only
the money from Saudi that is making the difference.
Well. Let's say the money and how well he has really tried.
Okay.
He has really tried. He's playing pattern. The coaching pattern that he has instilled in the mindset of Newcastle players is phenomenal. Okay. Are you getting it? If you see the likes of Guerrero, Bruno in the midfield, Miguel at the wing side, that guy is another player. And the funniest thing is that this Miguel we're talking about was bought from Major League, Atlanta United, with 21 million euros. He's in Premiership now. Right now, his market value is something else. So, the way he plays, the way he drives defenders, I'm short. I don't know how to describe that guy. The guy is something else. It's something else.
MLS
to Premier League, yeah.
And he's everywhere, setting it on fire. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to how much. Let's break down now to you where the cash matters now. Let's break it down.
Wow.
How much will the champion of the Premier League be taking home?
Jide, the aspects. When we're talking about that aspect, you know, a lot of people believe that Premiership is one of the richest league. Is one of the let me just say is the richest. If we remove the likes of UEFA Champions League, so it's the richest. Currently now, the actual amount has not been decided.
Okay.
But as of last season, Manchester City claimed over 160 million But that 160 million pounds has a breakdown.
Okay.
In that breakdown now, they have the TV rights.
Okay.
They have the winner's prize. They have the bonuses.
Okay.
And in that TV right, they have two. In that TV right, they have a domestic right and international right. In the one of the domestic, they give about 50% to whoever comes to every club site.
Okay.
They divide the money equally to about 34.1 million pounds to each team. But how would they give this money? It is in two ways. They give you in time of your facility. That's one. And two, in terms of your position on the log.
Okay.
So if you're able to be in a better position, you know you're sure of making more money. Okay. But winning the prize of the premiership itself is around 44 million pounds.
Wow.
So if you now accumulate the TV rights, the international TV rights, including domestic, the bonuses and commercial, everything will be amounting to about 160 million above. So, but this season's own, it has not yet been finalized. But no, last season was 161 million. But this season's own, we don't know yet.
All right.
So
okay, we'll keep a tab because that's we hope that the next time we come here on the show, I might ask you what's the update, because I know that as it goes, we will. And it's looking good yet because they are in prime position, talking about Manchester City for the Premiership, and it seems that they are the team to beat in the Champions League as well. More money for them. Okay.
Yeah, well, sorry, Jide, before I forget, there's another big introduction into this season's Premier League rights. Last season, the TV right was about 84 million pounds. But the beauty of this season's own is that they have introduced about 2.5 billion TV rights. And now, more money, more sharing.
All right.
So
finally, quickly, let's look at, this is the question we're going to live with because we need to wrap things up now, Sydney, before we go. Top scorers in the top 4 teams.
Ooh.
Yeah. Who are they? Let's look at their price tag and see if they really justify the money.
Well. if you're talking about the highest goal scorers in the team, for us now, right now, is Gabriel Martinelli.
Okay.
Martinelli has scored 14 goals, 6 assists, just in 30 played. And no penalty kick.
Okay.
Then if you're going to Erling Haaland, you know that one is a godfather, godfather of goals. His leg he's always glued with the football. So he has got 32 goals, 6 assists, 5 assists, 6 penalty kick, and 27 played.
Okay.
And Manchester United is Rashford, who has scored about 15 goals, 8 assists, and played 29 match. Then in Newcastle now is Miguel Almiron, who has scored 11, no penalty kick, and 1 assist, and has played 25 matches for Newcastle. But out of the 25, he start in 24 match. The 25th own was a sub. So that's just the thing that is trending about the most top goal scorers of the battle for the title.
Okay. And if you ask me, of course, aside from Rashford, who is an homegrown and whose salary is always on the increase most times, would you say Miguel, Haaland, and Martinelli, would you say the money the money spent exactly for them used in acquiring them from the clubs, would you say it's justified with the goal score?
Let me come from the angle of Saka.
Okay.
The beauty of Saka is an homegrown, but right now as we speak, his market value is about 100 million plus.
Wow.
That is beautiful. That's you know that these people knows what they're doing in time of business. Are you seeing it? When anybody say, okay, I need Saka now, I need Saka, that's huge money for us now.
Okay.
I seen it, but if you're talking of Rashford, it's an homegrown. The market value of Rashford safe now is about 100 million plus.
Okay,
I getting it. That's how to do business, because football is all about business. It's all about the money. I getting it. But trophy is very important too. Exactly. You know that aspect. It's very important. So and if you're not coming to Miguel, you can use Premier League to compare MLS. Premier League is an advanced league, it's a very established league filled with superstars. Are you getting it? Okay. But MLS, Major League Soccer, if Miguel can come from that league, become an outstanding and a masterpiece footballer in Premier League, and now his market value has gone beyond 21 million. Currently, I think his market value has jumped up to 35 million. Wow. See the increase, 21 to 35, which is huge, and he's still young. He's in his early 20s. Wow. So there's still time. So on the side of Miguel, the money is justified. Wow. On the side of Saka, if me and you know it's justified as well as Rashford. Then if you're talking of Alan, oh my God, there's nothing to say. Just keep going. Keep paying more money. He's good to go.
All right. We got to go. We got to go. Time is really not our friend where we're talking money and sports here. But Sydney, I must say, thank you for joining me on today's
Thank you so much. Thank you so much
for
having me.
Next week is another time. I will be back to look at another league and how money is making the world go round there. Yeah. It's a pleasure. Okay, guys. Of course, you can follow us on all our social media handles, and don't forget also to like our our Facebook page, for example, and also follow us on Twitter. And also, don't forget that you can subscribe to our YouTube channel too, so that you can enjoy the best of content. Till I come your way next time, I'm yours truly today, man of the future in sports, Jide Olano.
If I die fighting for justice, I will have no regret. I live to fight for justice, and that's what I will do. I'm Rashidat Mohammed. I'm the principal partner of Rashidat Mohammed & Co., a female law firm founded by me, which happens to be the only law firm in Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara. I'm an active member of FIDA, International Federation of Female Lawyers. The main reason why I set up this place is to advocate for women and children to render free legal services to less privileged, vulnerable ones. I've seen series of gender-based violence, and I've not seen enough people coming to speak against it. Issue of gender-based violence is not about being an illiterate or not. Even educated people are being violated. Once somebody's child is raped, even if you punish the perpetrator, you cannot return back her virginity. It's a lifetime scar. The reason why most victims don't come out to talk about what happened is because they don't have support. After reporting the case, nobody cares about them. There's no love or concern towards them. In order to encourage others to come out to speak against violence or child abuse, let me make them as part of my family. So any victim that I've helped, from the day I help you, becomes part of my family, and I visit them every 2 weeks. I want my children to see a Nigeria where women's voice will be heard, even children will have the right to speak for themselves. I want my children to grow up in a Nigeria where women and men are given equal opportunities, equal access to education, job opportunities, political and economic opportunities. for women and girls, I'm calling on all of us to be an advocate for ourselves. We've been talking about gender-based violence for a very long time, but I've hardly seen people coming to act against it. So I want us to stop talking about it. Let's be acting about it. If you see something, say something. Stop stigmatizing those that are victims of violence.
Hello and welcome to the program. I am Deji Badimasi. Now, Nigeria was treated to a very high-wire political drama last week in the northeastern state of Adamawa, where the unprecedented, if you like, happened. The resident electoral commissioner of the state staged what you could describe as an election coup when he usurped the functions of the returning officer in a governorship election and made a return. He declared the candidate of the All Progressives Congress in the election winner even when votes in the supplementary election had not been fully collated. Well, Amadu Finturi, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, has since been declared winner of the gubernatorial election. But the bizarre drama that played out in the state is still a major topic of discussion. Finturi's victory comes 1 month after the March 18th governorship elections. Now, the conduct of the resident electoral commissioner, Hudu Yunusari, when he declared Senator Aisha Dahiru Ahmed as that's a candidate now of the All Progressives Congress as governor-elect against the rules, actually puts INEC now in a very bad light. But the good thing is that INEC quickly intervened, arrested the process, and ensured the rules were eventually complied with, leading, of course, to the declaration of Finturi as the winner of the election. Now, Section 25 of the Electoral Act, which is very crucial in this case, empowers only the returning officer to announce the result and declare the winner of an election at the State Collation Center in the case of a governorship election of a state. So what the resident electoral commissioner did, that's a controversial resident electoral commissioner now did, was completely out of order. President Muhammadu Buhari has now suspended the REC, and they ordered that the police should investigate and prosecute him if found culpable. The Inspector General of Police has also replaced the Adamawa State Commissioner of Police, who escorted the suspended REC to the collation center where he announced or made that controversial declaration. To delve more into this, I'm now being joined on the program by Dr. John Ngamsa, who is a former Commissioner of Information and also a Commissioner for Youth and Sports in Adamawa State. Also joining us, he joins us, by the way, from Adamawa, and joining us from Abuja is a public affairs analyst, Shehu Wata, who is also a member and Stakeholder Relations Directorate of the Tinubu Shetima Presidential Campaign Council. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. Dr. Ngamsa, let me start with you. Give us an idea, what exactly is the state of things in Adamawa State at the moment? I hope everywhere is calm now.
Yeah, I think with all things being equal, the town is calm. And following exactly what happened some time ago, the mix-up. You comfortably call that political drama. We can say that the governor in the state here did his best in not allowing supporters to provoke others into any kind of uncalled action. So it's been fine enough while jubilation still go on. People are enjoying themselves and the state capital is calm, even the outskirts, where you can see that he's well supported. You know, the people also conducted themselves in a very good manner. So it's just a question of seeing how virtually everything went on right and the happiness that was there. If you are just a comer into Yola and you are able to stumble over how the people are jubilating, you'll definitely know that it's a question, you know, it's an answer, you know, to what the people are expecting and the rightful declaration of Amadou Fintri as the governor of the state.
Now let me ask you, when this election, when the governorship election was declared inconclusive, did you, as an individual now, did you have any inkling that we were going to be treated to this kind of high-wire political drama in the supplementary election?
Well, you know, going by what Nigerian politics is over a period of time and how people have been desperate and taking the history, you are likely to understand that some people will be there to circumvent the process, you know, doing it not the right way. And when that happened, we thought it was going to be a clear-cut thing and straightforward like in other places. But then the events unfolding, particularly, you know, where the Rick, you know, did his own devil advocacy of whatever manner, we knew that we're in for something that, except God intervenes, you know, it's going to boomerang and result into certain things that are not supposed to be. But from all expectation, there is the rule of law, and from all expectation too, we got to understand that the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is somebody who would like to have a very clean transition from where it is, you know, to something much more justifiable. And we've seen also the steps taken by the federal government to put it right and to make people to be accountable. That in itself, to me, gave the confidence in our process, particularly what the INEC was able to do in justifying, you know, and calling back the actual officer that is supposed to make the announcements to come back and to continue his work. You know, that in itself brought about confidence. To me, I looked at that as a very credible, optimistic process that have worked to sanitize our own democracy to some extent. And the restoration of the integrity of the INEC itself, you know, following the process and understanding that something evil was done, you know, is something actually worth commending. And because it is worth commending, I can see that people are restoring their confidence, you know, in the government as expected. And everybody knew, you know, when Amadou Fintri came up there, he scored good enough a lead, at least to be declared. But for certain things that happened at the background, where Hudu himself has succeeded in wanting, you know, to circumvent whatever it is, there was an audio released from Fofore where he was calling on the officer there to ensure that Binani got the right votes or additional votes at least to make her come to win. You know, where he was saying that help this woman in Hausa. All those things were tried and passed across, and it was good enough that, you know, the agencies responded, and people also opened up on the media, which stood up at least for the volume of truth. You can see that there's commendation coming all over, you know, particularly what the media was able to do, irrespective of political inclinations and whatnot. They were able to stand out there and to make the truth. So it was quite good, and I'm sure it was an interesting
I'm going to come back to you. Let me just go to Shehu in Abuja. Shehu, you are, of course, of the All Progressives Congress, and at some point your party was fingered as responsible for the drama we saw in Adamawa, even though nothing has been proven yet. But you know, there have been insinuations that the REC was basically working for your party and its candidate in that governorship election. What do you make of that drama that played out?
Thank you so much. Barika Salah to all Nigerians. What happened last week, over the weekend, last weekend, during the runoff election in Adamawa State was, to say, very unfortunate. is a clear indication. Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's a clear indication that our statutory organs like the INEC, for instance, the regulatory organ, the INEC, the responsible for conducting our election, to some extent has been influenced by the politicians. Unfortunately, that happened. The REC did what he did, but it gives me a lot of joy that the INEC was allowed by the government in power to perform its function without any form of interference. You could see that INEC immediately ran in on the incident that happened. It's an unfortunate incident. It's not because of any party affiliation. I'm a member of the APC, but that does not mean that when you see something that is wrong, you have to support a wrong action because it favors your party. We're talking about democracy. We're talking about sustainability of our institutions. So what happened was unfortunate, and we thank God all the actions that have followed so far. INEC has been able to reverse the unfortunate incidents. The result has been announced. The governor-elect has collected his letter, and you can see clearly that even the federal government, led by Mr. President, they have issued out a query letter to the REC, and the people involved are being held to question. So it's an unfortunate incident that happened, and we're not quite happy about that happened.
Now, let me ask you. This is a REC who is a lawyer who clearly understands the rules. I mean, there's no doubt about that. So, what do you think could have pushed him to act the way he did?
What happened clearly shows that INEC has been penetrated by some interests. I won't say this time around. I won't say who's bidding the REC was playing. I will not point any finger at anybody, but definitely the action, what he did was very wrong. So it's a clear indication that INEC as a body still have some one or two bad eggs. They have made tremendous progress from where INEC was. We could see clearly that the INEC was allowed by the state to function as an independent body. We cannot say that in an organization like an INEC, everybody there will be 100% clean. So the case of Hudu Ari, the resident electoral commissioner of Adamawa